Thank God for this day.
That's right, that's right. Listen, y'all, Saturday, everybody shout Saturday. 5 days of work, 1 day of play. Come on, everybody, get your roller skates today. It's Saturday, Saturday, Saturday,
Yeah.
Saturday. Hey, that's what we used to sing back in the day, but guess what? This Saturday, Ron, this Saturday, the Voices for the Heart, partner with Pfizer, we will have a virtual symposium. Once again, I will send that information out through more advertisements. Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Thank you, 760, for being a platform.
That's 10 o'clock Central.
10 o'clock Central Standard Time. Thank you, Nashville. Thank you, Meharry. Thank you, Pfizer. Thank you, community, for partnering together to talk about heart health. Once again, I've never heard of this word until last week, so I'm still butchering it. I do not have vocal fluidity with this word.
Okay.
Transthyretin. Amyloid cardiomyopathy. Have you ever heard of it, Ron?
Not exactly.
That's right. Hey, right. I have never heard. So but 10 o'clock Saturday. 10 o'clock Saturday. So those watching on YouTube. That's good. We got YouTube, and that's another platform.
Right. Yes, it is.
YouTube. Our YouTube audience, whatever camera it is, the YouTube audience. We're gonna put that link on YouTube when Ron uploads this on YouTube. Go to Christian Business Connection, hit that link, and it will take you there. You can register, but I'm going to promote it there. I'll promote it on my YouTube. I'll promote it on the church's page, my page.
I just shot it to Twitter.
Good.
I just shot
You
it
did
to
it?
Twitter. Okay.
Got you. So we're going to make sure the word gets out. The word is
School lesson. The title of it is Free Because of the Lord. So some kind of way I usually try to bring in the title of the lesson when you look at it to see how the writers put that together and came up with it. So this particular one is Free Because of the Lord. And we're coming out of Deuteronomy chapter 8.
And Ron, I've been listening.
Okay.
I'm going to say this on the outset.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us sometimes don't like rules and regulations.
Okay.
But they are there. They are schoolmasters.
Schoolmaster.
And I learned this the hard way through
Okay.
educating children. If you do not have rules and regulations, you are inviting yourself into a chaotic experience that you will never get control of.
Okay.
I say that to say this.
Mm-hmm.
Free people, free people, and we're talking about free people.
Mm-hmm. Free.
Needed structure,
Okay.
needed rules,
Mm-hmm.
needed regulations, needed reference points,
That's right.
because they were going to walk into a place,
Mm-hmm.
which is called the Promised Land.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have not had those rules, regulations, structures, they would have ruined the blessing.
Wow.
I'm gonna say that.
What he just said.
They would have ruined it.
Yes.
And there comes a point, even Ron, point number 2,
Okay.
that some very near and dear people that we walk with out of a situation
Yeah.
might not be able to go into the Promised Land with us.
Okay. Yeah, you're talking about something right there. You're talking about free because of the Lord. We had already spoke about free from captivity. We're not in captivity anymore. And then we said free to worship. You are free to worship. Nobody cannot stop you from worshiping God if you want to. And then last week we talked about free to celebrate. And evidently the writers thought that there's a difference between worship and celebrating, which worship is a way of celebrating, I know. But that's what the writer talked about last week, and we should celebrate the Lord.
Celebrate good times. Come on. Okay, Ron, what are we celebrating?
He's the Lord.
Right.
He's God.
Look at what we're celebrating, though.
Yeah.
Red Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Look at everything we're celebrating up until this point.
Wow. Have you ever did a Red Sea for you?
Come on. And for those who have not read the book, The Red Sea Rules.
Yeah.
please go get the book, The Red Sea Rules by Robert J. Morgan. Okay, Ron, let's get into this word.
Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 8.
Look at it.
These verses are 1 through 11, which we
Okay.
could go through. Please read the whole chapter.
Please, dude.
Please read the whole chapter. But like you talked about wilderness and 40 years and wandering, food, water, clothing, up on the promised land right now. And you said something, I kind of lost it now, but we're going to get into it. Okay, last we said free to celebrate. Now we said free because of the Lord. That's the title, free. Why? Because of
the Lord.
The Lord. Remember the reason why you are free. You would not be free if it had not been for
the Lord.
The Lord. Okay, so now we take that into consideration as we read these scriptures, and stop me anytime. Okay, either you can carry. I'm gonna do it the King James. Deuteronomy 8:1. All the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live, God, and multiply, and go in and possess the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers.
Come on.
And thou shalt remember all the way whence the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness. And like you said, everybody didn't make it. We think about 12 spies, Joshua and Caleb. To humble thee.
Everybody didn't make it.
That's key and important. To humble thee and to prove thee. He did that for a reason. Why he brought you through those things, and you're here right now. And it says to know what was in thy heart. And that's the important thing right there. Whether thou would keep his commandments or no. We could have spent years on that verse. And he humbled thee, there we go again, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not. Neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man do not live
by what?
By bread alone.
That's it.
But by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God.
Ron, if you could just
do man live.
Right.
And that's what Jesus said.
Wow.
When he was tempted.
Wow.
In the wilderness as well by Satan.
Right. If you could just pause. Right.
And said, if you know who you are.
Command these stones.
If you be
to be made bread.
The Son of God. I know who, prove who you are. Do you have to? Okay.
Isn't it interesting that God sometimes will hold back what you think you need in order to show you what you really need, or hold back what you want. And let me say this. Good afternoon, those who are coming in on Instagram. Let me say this. They cried out for flesh pots, leeks, and onions. And this is a word. Check this out, Derek. This is a word. Their appetite and their palate, watch this, Ron, I'm saying something, was tied to their bondage. Did you hear that? What they wanted, what they cried out for, was an appetite and a palate that was directly tied to their bondage.
Wow.
And they were asking Moses, take us back to the place where we were bound, but because it's in that place, at least we know what we're eating. And how many times in life do I get caught up in situations where I return back to a place of bondage just for the convenience of food, just for some earthly conveniences? You see that?
The lust of the eyes. Look at it. It looked good. Ooh, look how it looked. The lust of the eyes. Look at it. Look. Ooh, look at him. Look at
him. Right. Look.
Ooh, it looked good. The lust of the
flesh.
Uh-oh. It tastes good too.
That's right.
It feels good.
It feels great.
Ooh, it feels real good. And the pride of life. Ooh.
I think. Therefore I am.
It'll make you better.
Wow. So when I start thinking about
faster,
how God had to orchestrate that your deliverance, watch this, just didn't come through your feet. It literally had to come through your mouth and your stomach. Your appetite had to change. Literally.
Absolutely. I mean,
your appetite has to change.
Let this mind
be in you. Your appetite. It's not every
also.
Right. So, Ron, when you're teaching this lesson tomorrow, it's very y'all back in Sunday school, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but it's very imperative
Mm-hmm.
that you hone in on the point
Mm-hmm.
that I'm in the situation I'm in because of my appetite.
All right.
And my appetite sometimes will pull me into a place of bondage where I'm bound and not free. So God said, watch this, I know I freed you physically from a place, but now I'm going to have to free you nutritionally, because I don't need your appetite still tied to your bondage. So I'm going to give you something new to eat. I'm going to give you something new to eat.
Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. That's what we must understand, because God is God. It is He that has made us and not we ourselves. So He knows how this thing should be. He's the creator. So when He gave the 10 Commandments, which are the basic principles, what we have here, foundational principles of a moral life, that was just the basic set out of all of what they call the law.
Yes.
And if we really just think, but people would die.
Right. Literally.
In the law. You couldn't do it, but just imagine God set down the law. If you really want to know what it really is,
right.
That's it right there, because He's God and He set it down. But the thing is, we could not fulfill the law. And that's what it was. Like you said, it was the schoolmaster, and the 10 Commandments is a basic little short set.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But with all of those, and God laid the thing, because He's God. If you really want to know who God is, God laid the thing down and say, you do that right there. If you want to know about this, how this whole thing works, because He's God.
Come on.
Yeah,
come on.
He laid it down, and we'll keep on going. But to be free is not under the control or in the power of another. Able to act or be done as one wishes. It's without hindrance. But like we said a while back, you can be in prison and be free.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And be not prison, and be bound
with $1 million in the bank.
Mm-hmm. And we're seeing it now with some of the deaths.
Mm-hmm.
People are bound by something,
mm-hmm.
and they are not free somewhere, and are choosing means that to them in that moment are necessary, and we suffer from that. But man shall not live by what? Bread alone.
He tells us how to do it. He says, think on these things which are pure, holy, good report. So he knows how to do it with His creation. Okay, verse 4.
Okay.
Thy raiment wax not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell
40 years.
These 40 years.
See, that's the thing, Ron. They only heard about a God that they needed to know about.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, the God that they heard about was just Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's God. And Joseph. Yeah. Because there rose a Pharaoh who knew not who. Joseph. So oral history, oral tradition now, it's just all it is. That's the God of our forefathers. He can't be our God. So God has to show them, in your own experience, I'm going to be that God.
Right. He said that.
Yeah.
That's the relationship right there.
Come on.
It got to the point. God is real. He did all those things. He did the Red Sea and all of that, dry ground and everything like that. But you got to look at Him, and was He in your life, your relationship when it broke down to it.
When he breaks it all down.
I might need to read the last verse in another translation. It says,
get that.
For all these 40 years, your clothes didn't wear out.
40?
Your feet didn't blister or swell.
I look
40 years?
Everything, because you exercise 40 years, you're going to be in pretty good shape.
You can't buy a good pair of shoes and wear them every day for 1 year.
And not wear them down.
Yeah, or wear down. You're right, but every day, walking in the wilderness, and those shoes weren't made by machine with rubber.
It wasn't made by Nike. It wasn't,
right.
They wasn't Yeezys, was it? No shade to Kanye. We love you, Doc. You can actually sow into the ministry if you choose.
Right.
Yeah, but they wasn't Yeezys. Like, no. God, listen, there was no department stores for them to shop at. Think about that, Ron.
Wow.
No department stores, no Green Hills, no Rivergate. We go back. No Harding Place Mall. We go way back, huh?
Kane Sloan.
None of that.
Okay.
And God preserved the exterior. They knew God now to actually not preserve what was interior, but preserve what was external, the exterior. That's a wow moment with God.
The clothes didn't get old, and the shoes didn't get old. But here we go. This is a miracle. Your feet
did not.
Didn't even swell.
Come on, man. That's some deep stuff.
Wow. Okay, let's try to move. Thou shalt also consider in thine heart that as a man chasteneth his son, so the Lord thy God chasteneth thee. Therefore, thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways and to fear him, to reverence him. For the Lord thy God bringeth thee into a good land, and a land of brooks of water, of fountains and depths that spring out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley and vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of oil, olive, and honey, a land wherein thou shalt eat bread without scarceness. Thou shalt not lack anything in it, a land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills thou mayest dig grass. When thou hast eaten,
pause, back up.
When thou hast eaten, when you say hold up for a second, verse 10, almost.
Isn't it interesting that God was going to bring them into a land of resourcefulness?
They was complaining over on the other side of the wilderness. It was really on a 10, 11 day, could have been trip.
14 days, maybe 14 days, but it took 40 years.
Don't doubt God. That's a big one.
Listen, he brought them to a place of plenty and resources. So why, Ron? They could use that land that they were on. This is where it gets global and economic. So they could have something to trade with. Think about it. Absolutely. He was bringing them to a place where they could create even more wealth with the resources that they had. I'm going to stop there because people don't want to talk about this part. This was a resourceful place.
He does not give you gifts, talents, abilities to not use them. God wants a return, ROI, on his investment.
Come on.
Okay? But you're right, though. This is something they can use.
To what? Create wealth.
Absolutely.
Not considering.
We had made it to verse 18, which is not in this.
Right.
Okay.
But not considering the wealth that they took from Egypt.
Right.
So God literally bought them out. Listen, not bought them out, but bought them out.
Okay.
Paid for their deliverance.
That's right.
Sending you to a place where you're going to have wealth and resource.
And that's what he does today. He paid for your deliverance.
You hear that? Amen. Wealth and resource.
And now he's talking about going into these next couple of verses.
You got 5 minutes.
Verse 10.
4.
It said, when thou hast eaten, because the title of this once again is free because of the Lord, and we will see something that God keeps saying, remember. And that's what we have to do, remembrance. He said, do this in remembrance of me. But here you go, verse 10. When thou hast eaten and art full, then thou shalt bless the Lord thy God for the good land which he hath given thee. Mm-hmm. Beware that thou forget not the Lord thy God in not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Lest, when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses,
when you what?
Well,
when they're built. Watch it now. Goodly. You hear that?
Yes, sir.
We're not talking about shacks. When you have built, when now that you're in community, and you understand that you have two things, Ron.
Right.
I'm gonna say it again.
Woo.
Not only do you have wealth, you have resources. That's a bad combination.
You talking to somebody right there. Let me read that verse one more time. When thou hast eaten and art full. We can look at that in the natural, or we can look at it in the spiritual. That's what we need to look at it in both, because it's a relationship. When you have eaten and are full, that could be one meal, or could that be when you're sitting in Brentwood around here right now, and you came from the hood.
Come on.
And now you in Brentwood. When you have eaten and are full. And he said, then thou shalt bless the Lord thy God for the good land which he hath given thee. Beware.
Beware.
And he wouldn't have told you something if you didn't need to beware.
Beware.
That thou forget not the Lord thy God. You think you did it. You think you worked so hard. You think you studied so much.
Beware. I don't.
Okay?
I don't. I study, but it's from him. Yeah. But I'm saying we study, but it's from him.
Amen.
The revelation comes from on high.
Absolutely.
But
we have to put in the work.
Ron, I'm going to harp on this because we're about out of time.
Okay.
When you have wealth and resources, that's a great combination, isn't it? Think about it. When you have the wealth.
Kingdom agenda.
When you have resources.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a gift and a talent.
Wealth and resources. And here's your work is not your problem. Because that's all you did for 400 years.
Absolutely.
Then, of course, that generation dies out. But at least you know how to walk if you don't know how to work. Because guess what? You've been walking for the last 40. So you have an ethic now. I wish I had a praying church. You have an ethic now in place. You have an ethic in place that is going to guarantee you economic posterity and prosperity.
And really, when you said it on the last one, it said, beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers. But as I'm just looking at this, and it keeps just coming to me, and it keeps saying over and over, but it's about humility. And he said, remember the Lord thy God, and that has to do with humility, because we have to realize that without him, we can do nothing. It's because of his grace that we are who and what we are. And so we have to remember who he is, and he put this together. That's who.
That's who.
God. He put this together. All of this. The great thing about us in New Testament, born again, bought with the price, redeemed of the blood, believers in the New Testament, God paid the price.
He bought us.
We're under grace and we're not under the law anymore.
He bought us.
And we remember, and that's what we do. Many are coming up on Resurrection Sunday. Remember the Lord thy God. When you do communion, remember this, do in remembrance of him. The heart, I wrote down, is the origin of the will. It's the origin of the will.
Well, y'all, we're out of time, but we're not out of talk.